Everything you're about to hear is just my assessment. It's my opinion, and not to be taken as fact.
The records uncovered through Franklin County public filings concerning Rod Parsley and World Harvest Church, WHC, expose a sprawling, manipulative, and deeply compromising history that should disturb any thinking Christian, taxpayer, or community member. The previous 3 summaries, taken from separate tranches of 120 total entries, outline a web of financial recklessness, civic manipulation, and doctrinal hypocrisy that lay bare the rotted foundation of Rod Parsley's so-called ministry. What follows is a complete, exhaustive, and damning indictment of Rod Parsley and WHC, using their own public records as the rope with which they hang themselves. Brace yourself. Case Study in Manipulation. Rod Parsley and World Harvest Church. The Real Estate Gospel of Fraud, Greed, and Civic Abuse. Franklin County Records Assessment. Full condemnation. First, the public records don't lie, but the pulpit does. The Franklin County Recorder's database from 1988 to 2025 reveals 120 plus real estate filings tied to World Harvest Church, Inc., Rod Parsley, and shadowy adjacent entities like Gender Road Ltd. Partnership. These filings include deeds, mortgages, liens, financing statements, annexations, court cancellations, mechanics liens, plat developments, leases, and easements. This pattern alone demonstrates that Rod Parsley's pulpit is not the epicenter of a revival. It's the control room of a corporate real estate machine. What preacher needs over 120 property filings spanning 40 plus years to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ? What faith leader consistently uses banks, city annexations, and land partnerships to build his kingdom instead of God's? The answer: a wolf in shepherd's clothing. 2. 1988. It began with a mortgage, not a mission. The 1988 mortgage to Central Bank for 57.674 acres marks the true genesis of World Harvest Church's descent into carnal empire building. Let's be clear, Rod Parsley didn't receive land like a biblical patriarch. He didn't rely on divine provision like Elijah. He went to the bank like a businessman. He mortgaged God's name and shackled his ministry to the interest tables of Babylon. This directly contradicts the faith he preaches. In his sermons, he claims supernatural power, angelic visitations, divine breakthroughs, and miracle provision. But his public documents reveal a man of debt, credit leverage, and legal entanglements. Proverbs 22:7. The borrower is servant to the lender. Matthew 6:24. You cannot serve both God and mammon. Rod Parsley chose mammon in 1988, and he never looked back. Third, annexations. Political strategy, not pastoral stewardship. 3 massive annexation records from 2001 to 2004 show 116 acres, 2001. 7.382 acres, 2002. 229.3 acres, 2004. All tied to Congress lands, folded into the city of Columbus through votes and ordinances. The church's hands are all over city records, like a political syndicate. This is not how a church functions. This is how a developer manipulates zoning laws to maximize land value and legal protection. Rod Parsley's team wasn't planning churches. They were acquiring land like Roman emperors, carving up suburban tracts with the same ruthless ambition as a Walmart exec looking for a new location. Micah 2:1-2. Woe to those who plan iniquity, to those who plot evil. They covet fields and seize them, and houses and take them. They defraud people of their homes. Rod Parsley is not the modern Paul. He is a modern Ahab, grabbing vineyards for power under the guise of spiritual mission. Fourth, Liens and unpaid work. Oppressor, not overseer. The presence of mechanics liens in 2023, specifically by Wallach Properties and Belfor USA Group, proved that Parsley's ministry doesn't even pay its contractors properly. Mechanics lien filed September 8th, 2023. Lien released after likely dispute payment, November 20th, 2023. Why are construction firms filing liens on ministry property? Because the church stiffed them. That's illegal, unethical, and unbiblical. Leviticus 19:13. Do not hold back the wages of a hired worker overnight. James 5:4. The wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The word of God says unpaid wages cry out like blood from the ground. Yet Rod Parsley walks into church on Sunday, claps his hands and shouts about revival as if he hasn't defrauded workers behind the scenes. This is not revival. It is robbery in robes. Fifth, Gender Road. LTD partnership, shadowy business, entity or ministry arm. Several documents between 2000 and 2023 list a company called Gender Road LTD Partnership, which shares the same physical footprint as WHC, interacting with Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, CMHA, City of Columbus various lenders. This is corporate laundering disguised as ministry. Using this side entity, WHC appears to shield itself from liability, borrow funds under business auspices, negotiate housing deals with CMHA. In short, Rod Parsley created a two-headed beast. One head prays on Sundays, the other writes business contracts Monday through Friday. Matthew 23:27. You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of bones and everything unclean. Rod Parsley's church is a whitewashed tomb of property schemes and tax privileges. Sixth, financial instruments, a trail of paper, not piety. The data includes financing statements, mortgages, assignments, releases, court cancellations. This is the portfolio of a real estate developer, not a shepherd. Rod Parsley is no pastor. He's a religious CEO managing a portfolio of spiritualized slumlordism. And the congregation? They're manipulated emotional investors, convinced that their sacrificial seed is going toward missions or revival. In reality, it's paying off 35-year-old land debt and keeping a bloated campus solvent. Seventh, what church needs this much land? Multiple tracts listed, 57.674 acres, 22.041 acres, 2.479 acres, 116 acres, 229.3 acres, 333 acres on a different entry. That's well over 700 acres associated with Parsley's religious complex, offshoots, or dealings. The early church met in homes. Jesus had no place to lay his head, yet Rod Parsley requires 750 acres, multiple deeds, leases, financing schemes, and 35 years of legal paperwork. This isn't the gospel. It's geopolitical cultism with a worship band. Eighth, final indictment. The blood is on the blueprints. Rod Parsley has spent decades constructing not just a church, but an empire of influence. He's leveraged God's name to grab land, dodge taxes, exploit donors, defraud contractors, influence city boundaries, embed a financial empire beneath a faux evangelical exterior. He is not a pastor. He is a land baron in a clergy collar. The Franklin County public records, spread across nearly 4 decades, prove it. If Jesus walked into World Harvest Church today, he wouldn't preach. He'd flip the closing table. Scriptural verdict. Isaiah 123. Your rulers are rebels, partners with thieves. They all love bribes and chase after gifts. Jeremiah 6:13. From the least to the greatest, all are greedy for gain. Prophets and priests alike, all practice deceit. 2 Peter 2:3. In their greed, These teachers will exploit you with false words. Their condemnation has long been hanging over them. Conclusion. The gospel according to Deeds and Liens. These public records are not just legal filings. They are a paper trail of sin. Rod Parsley has turned the sacred space of the church into a commercial playground, funded by desperate donors and shielded by religious exemptions. His entire operation reeks of Babylon, not Bethlehem. No amount of praise, dancing, shouting, or camp meeting fireworks can hide what these documents reveal. A money empire disguised as a ministry, a tax dodge disguised as tithing, and a predator disguised as a pastor. The link to the documents are in the description.